All right, here we go. Hey, hi again. All right, I'm finding a rhythm here for this. It's a little bit of training on the table, a little bit of podcast. Because I think a lot about this game is approach. Of course, mental, but part of the mental game is approach. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about programs and drills, like training programs and drills. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. I gave up on drills, the L drill, back and forth drill, all these drills, and I've stopped that years ago, and I started hitting shots. And I train shots, I teach shots, I run my lessons with shots. And what ends up happening is that drills, for most people, okay, they're about completion. And I understand why, because people want to get a result out of life. And people are not naturally process minded. They're more results focused. Okay, I've done other podcasts about it, but basically it's kind of our culture and sort of in our mindset, and we learn it from TV and media, coaches and sports and things, parents, right? But basically there's 80-20 is the way I look at a lot of things. And for me, 80% of what I do is process and 20% of what I do is a result and a focus on results, okay? And so the reason why is because if I identify the correct processes and I do those processes to the best of my ability as a byproduct of executing those processes, I will have better results. I'll have great results. That'll just happen, right? So I'm not Buddha on the mountaintop here. I'm not saying I don't care about results. I'm saying that I understand the best path to results is through process. And I want results just like everybody else. And I have to discuss results and talk about results. And I look at results with training, and I use my 50-80 training kind of method for the shot to make sure that results window is up, and then I'm trying to hit that 60 to 80% success range. So I'm not just blindly hitting shots and not giving full effort. And I understand that results matter, okay? And when I'm doing these videos, right? I'm shooting these videos, and one of the reasons why I shoot these videos and have you guys in my studio here training with me or watching my training and I'm discussing my training is because I understand the value of playing under pressure and how it affects results, right? And I want to get good results. So I understand that if I train, I'm going to have better results. And if I train with pressure, I'm going to have better results. And if I play under pressure, I'm going to have better results for when I get into competition, when pressure's up. So it's basically a process that I use and an approach that I use to ensure that I give myself the best opportunity to have the best result I can. Okay, I understand results. I have goals. I want to do well. I want to make shots. And so I do that. Like the last video I shot, I was shooting like the cue ball from here to the 9, and I was having to lock in to make that shot while I was talking, and I didn't want to miss any of those shots, and I made all of them. And it didn't just happen because lulls, I make all the shots, ha ha ha, it's an easy game. It happened because I found the shot and I found enough focus and being present to shoot without flinching and without twisting and without jumping and without doubting and all that stuff. And I did it under a decent amount of pressure, because it's a decent amount of pressure when I shoot these videos. I am having fun and I am smiling and everything like that, but there's enough 20% results in my brain that when I get ready to shoot a shot and I fold, by the time I fold, that's when it's heightened for me and the pressure is up, and I'm training with you guys watching so that I can get used to folding, talking, folding, being distracted, whatever. I mean, talking, being distracted, all those things. And then by the time I fold, I got to be able to shoot and execute. And that's what happens when I'm at tournaments. I'm super distracted outside and everything's going on at times. And then I have to somehow get into like from about 2 feet away from the table and then I'm in my space where I need to start focusing. And then by the time I fold and get ready to shoot, especially by the time I shoot, I need to be completely like on thickness and visualize shot and accelerating through and all the things I talk about. Okay. And so and why? Because I want the result. I want the result of making the shot and getting position and playing under pressure and all those things. Okay. So I'm not against results. I just am saying that the process that I follow, the steps and process that I follow all the way up to the fold and release of my cue through those are all processes. And part of my process is to just not be attached to the outcome of the shot and just shoot through it and trust and then find out, right? But when it goes in, I'm excited. And if it keeps continually going in over and over and I keep getting position over and over and I run a bunch of racks, that's pretty fun and I like it and I appreciate the result. Okay, but it's the process of the things that I do and I've done over the last 5 years that build the ability to do to play so that I can play at a higher level than I did before, or a high level in general. Okay. And that's how I find my meaning and purpose with pool, and that's how I find my calm, and that's how I find my joy, and that's how my frustration stays low, and that's how I'm good now. So that's why I'm trying to help you guys to learn that. Okay. So let's go back to programs and drills. Let's talk about drills first. Drills, I've been thinking about it, and I was talking to Irene about this. She's a therapist. We talk about the mindset all the time, right? We have a podcast together. But when I hit a shot, I am 80% focused on learning what's happening, okay, biomechanically, with the physics, the geometry, strategy, and my mental game, how I feel, how present I am, and all that. And those are the things that I'm working on when I'm practicing, okay? And the result or the completion of the shot is 20%, like I said. 80% are these other things, and I'll call it learning. 80% is learning and 20% is execution or completion or success, all right? Now, the problem with drills that I've seen and that people have an impossible time with is that they're completion minded when they do drills, okay? It's a results focus, it's a completion focus. And it's an issue because it's only 20% learning when you're 80% focused on completion. And that's what I feel like. This is my opinion of what I've seen and how I see things presented, and how this is just the easiest thumbnail sketch I can give you in the Hulk Smash way, give you the numbers. I feel like my opinion is that people that do drills are 80% completion, and they're learning from the drill at about a 20% rate, okay? And they're, as far as like, what's this doing? What's the object ball doing? Angles, okay? What is my body doing? What are these other things doing, right? And so that's my opinion, and that's my opinion through experience of listening and watching and seeing people and hearing their feedback on how they do drills and things like that, right? So it's not just, this is my opinion. It's my opinion through decades of doing drills and watching people do drills and seeing people put content up that are instructors and professionals. It's a very big completion focus and not on a learning focus. And it should be the reverse when we're playing pool. We should be learning, and as we learn, a completion happens. But the bulk of what we should be doing is learning, and the byproduct of learning is completion for a shot or for a drill or for anything. And that's when we do that, that's why it's not a frustrating game. Because if we focus on learning 80% and we have 20% on completion, as a byproduct of learning the steps and the shots and all of these things that I'm talking about, there is no frustration because you're learning with each miss. With each miss, it was too thick. It was too thick. Today I was working with one of my students, and He said, well, we did the back cut that I did in the video, very similar shot. And he said, oh, I hit it, I have a tendency to hit it thin. So he shot 10 shots, he'd get 50% on it, and he hit 80% of the shots, which is super typical thin, okay? He missed 5. And I'm like, okay, all I was doing was waiting for him to see that that was true, gather the data. I've seen enough data. He missed half the shots and 80% of them were thin. I'm like, all right, thicken it up, thicken it up, thicken it up. And he thickened it up and he made it. The next round he was 70% and he was hitting it too hard. So then we backed off his speed and then he got to 90%. And so we were doing a 50-80 training and we were learning. I was helping him to learn how to make that shot. And he hit it at 50% the first time. And by the time the day was out, we had a 75-minute lesson, he could tell you where it would hit on the rail within this big of a span, okay, with a natural rolling ball, meaning it was hitting on the rail either here in the center pocket, it was here if he hit it thin, and here if he hit it thick. So he could tell where he hit it in the pocket by following the cue ball. He could aim for these spots on a difficult back cut that he was making at 50%, that was his least favorite shot, because he was calm and he was learning and he was paying attention to the right things, okay? So we were able to work through where the cue ball was going. We were able to extend out this back cut at 80%, and we were able to make that cue ball go to a spot that was the size of one of those dot things, papers. And he was hitting it soft, he was hitting it medium, he was hitting it hard, he hit it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He hit it with 6 different speeds, and he was continuing to make it at a very high rate. And when I had him change where he hit the cue ball, he would lose it for a second, but then we would go back to learning and say, okay, why did that happen? Why that happened? And then what we did was I adjusted his biomechanics, okay? He was a little too high on the cue ball. I dropped it down. He pushed through. He also was a little too towards center. We were trying to get a little last little bit of like horsepower with some spin. So I just had him just a whisper of inside, and he got the thing to really go. And so we worked on the biomechanics. So we worked on thickness first. We worked on speed second. We worked on geometry along the way. And then we worked on biomechanics. And so we just calmly worked on it, and we built a monster shot and a monster understanding and a monster result, but it was a byproduct of the calm learning, okay? Well, that's difficult for a person if they don't have me sitting there explaining these nuances. I get it. But if we calm down and we slow down and we get on board with learning, it will become easier. Now when he goes and practices, I've made a video with Irene on this. I am trying to teach you guys how to teach yourselves. My biggest joy would be if I was out of work with a person. That would mean that I taught them how to teach themselves and they no longer needed me. That would be like my Everest, okay, for that person. As an instructor, that would be my end game, right? Is that, and that's what we spent today doing, was slowly and calmly teaching him these things, these certain components, and it was 80% learning and 20% completion. And because he was so present and was learning so well, and he's a talented guy, you know, he's probably around a 500 Fargo. I don't even know. He maybe is better, but he can strike the ball, you know, closer to 700 when he's calm and all that stuff. He's hitting very, very, very nice shots once he understands, once he learns, right? And that's part of my teaching and everything. So yay me. But what I'm saying is, it's when we spend our 80% in the learning mode, man, it goes faster. It goes so much faster, so much smoother, so much less frustration, right? And that's the thing with drills, is that if you want to do a drill, I'm all about drills, but say you had an L drill, right? Completion is not possible if there's 15 balls until you can hit each of these 15 balls from 3 or 4 different spots, right? So it goes like this: ball here, ball here, ball here, ball up, and then over, right? Well, the first shot has to be hit into a zone. and you have to be able to strike that. So it might take you a while to determine your zone for the second shot, third shot, whatever. But that's not the way people do it. They don't break it down into 15 individual shots and stop at along the way and find out where they're stuck. They just keep hitting it, keep hitting it, try to complete it and get frustrated. Most people, right? And when I do drills, I do them the way I was describing. I might not ever complete the drill if I train for an hour. I might not even get to the point where I could have a completion because I'm going to stop along the way and find out how to hit these shots. That's it. And even that, I don't really like as much because I'm only hitting a certain amount of shots in my hour, and they're very similar shots, and it's just all meant to get completion around. And yes, I will learn from that, but I'm not going to learn as much as if the 75 minutes or an hour, hour and a half I spent with this guy today, where I got him hitting this ball at all these different speeds with different spin, different strikes, all those things. There was so much that went in, plus the ball pocketing of a tough shot. It's like he took a shot that he hated, and within 20 shots, he was good. And then within 80 shots or 100 shots, he was like all over the table, meaning in a good way. Like he could really put that thing around accurately and fix some biomechanics stuff and all that stuff. Whereas like if we would have been sitting there and I was trying to teach him an L drill for 75 minutes, I mean, that would have been like a complete waste of money and time for him. I could have showed him some things with it, but there's more that I can show him in how to train correctly with doing shots over drills. So, yep, that's it on that. And then why drills? Why do people want drills so much? Okay. I'm going to give you my opinion why I did drills. One reason I wanted to do drills is because I didn't know what else to do. Okay. I didn't know how to train. I literally just had no idea how to get good at pool. For decades, I didn't know how to get good at pool. I just knew that I wanted to train, but there was no one that could show me how to train, teach me how to train, show me what to train. It's, like I said before, it's not like golf. There's not like a PGA group of professionals and stuff. There's some certified professional teachers, but they're not, usually not professional level players. So if I was already at basically a professional level, I wanted to have instruction from a professional level player. Like when I took golf lessons, okay? I probably mentioned this before. I took him from this guy named Ron Benson. He was from Minnesota. And I went to him. And the reason why I went to him is because one of my friends in high school told me about him. And they said, this guy, Ron Benson, has course records all over the Twin Cities, like a half dozen or a dozen course records. That means he's shooting 62, 63, 61, 64, 65. I mean, he's shooting super low numbers. And he's like, boom, course record, boom, course record. So I'm like, this dude is a stick. He is a PGA level player. He's regionally, well, I shouldn't say region. I should say he did not play on the PGA, and I found out why. It was very interesting. He said it was too much pressure, which is fine. But as an instructor, I also heard he was money. Like he was a very, very good instructor. So here he was, this guy that was like a very, very high level golfer, okay, and a really great instructor, okay. So I'm like, all right. I was like 19 years old. I was like, oh my gosh. So I called him, I got in with him, and I went to him, and I was like 19, and I was like, I just want to get good at golf. And so whatever this dude tells me, I'll just do. And so I went and did, and it worked. And I went from like a banger, way into the teens handicap golfer within a year, summer or two, I was down to 8 handicap. It was because of Ron and because of me hitting balls till my hands bled. But Ron was a big part of it. If it wasn't for Ron, it would never happen. I took lessons from other pros. Ron was special. He was very, very, very good instructor. Okay. So what I'm saying is I didn't have that with pool. There was no Ron Benson in pool for me. There was nothing. And it was always like this excuse that I had in my head where I'm like, oh, I'll never get good. I'm stuck because I don't have a Ron Benson. There's no one in pool. There's no Ron Benson. And then finally, stuff clicked and I figured it out, and I got with some people that knew what they were doing, and I was able to mimic what they did a little bit and talk to them and have some some understanding of some of their concepts. And I flushed my concepts and said, okay, I'll just do more of these concepts. And then I did it, and then I started developing my own concepts because I became more of a learner. than a completion guy and a results guy. I was more in the learning and not the results. And then boom, my brain, and now here we are, and I'm teaching you guys how to play pool and all this stuff that I'm doing. Okay, and the reason, so that was reason one, is I didn't have the person. So that was an excuse for me, but I had to find, it took me decades to get out of that excuse making and to finally take responsibility and say, I'm the problem. I got to figure out how to fix it. Okay. Reason two was it's easier to do drills. Just tell me what to drill and I'll drill it, and then I'll be a great player, right? Because I can hit golf balls until my hands bleed. When I was 12, I bowled until my hand was hamburger. And I got to be a really good bowler at 12 without anything other than just pushing my dad's oversized ball down the lane. But I would go until my hand was hamburger and just go and go and go. So that's a skill and a gift, but it's not enough, really. It wasn't enough. And it burned me out, and all the others, I wasn't a learner, I was just a doer, okay? And it was just easy. I'll just do it 1,000 times, right? And that can work to some extent, but you have to be super, super gifted in order for that to work. And meaning you have to be eye-hand coordination, your brain has to sort of fit around the game right. Now the problem is, if you're not gifted eye-hand coordination, and you're not gifted from a hit till your hands are bloody and do it no matter what, no matter how miserable you are, well then you got a problem, right? Because you're just gonna spin your wheels. And you're gonna be stuck in this stage where it's like, I'm not getting any better and I don't know what to do. And so back to drills, and I'm gonna even say like a training program, is that it's very logical to say, I just wanna do something so that I'll just go do it for an hour a day or an hour and a half a day. All I got is an hour and a half a day. So just tell me the shots to hit. Or give me a training program, like warm up for this, I do that. That's good, that can work, of course, yes. But more so, the way I look at it is, that's almost like I wanna do the minimum, meaning I wanna do the minimum amount of thinking, I wanna do the minimum amount of self-reflection, I wanna do the minimum amount of taking responsibility, I wanna do the minimum amount of work, I just wanna do the minimum amount that I can do to get the maximum reward. And that, I get it, that's attractive, right? But what I'm saying is, when you guys watch me on here do these videos and do these things, it wasn't until I really turned into a student of the game that I started playing better and started enjoying the game more and seeing results with less work. So now I can do less work and gain more knowledge and better play with less work. So in a way, it's what people are asking for when they're asking for a program. They kind of, this is my opinion, okay, I'm saying this is what I would want when I ask for a program, okay? If someone asks me for a program, I'm not trying to like piss them off. I'm just saying, if I was asking for a program, that would be coming from this, a standpoint of, I just want to do something so that I know that when I do it, I'll be improving, okay? You want some guaranteed thing, and you want it to be as easy as possible. I don't want to have to think, I don't want to have to like do it. I just want to hit these shots, and if I hit enough of these shots, then I'll be this rating, or I'll be this much better in my league, or this much Fargo. And the problem is, that can work, okay? Because if you are simply hitting more shots than you used to, you will get better. But what I'm saying is, the real thing with this game is the learning component. So there's really not a program that you can just hit the X drill, or whatever the thing's called, Mighty Super X. Like, you can't just hit the Super X and then hit the L drill and then throw out a rack of 9-ball and do that for 45 minutes, an hour a day. You will play, like, you'll at least play more like familiar. It's better than not playing. But what I'm saying is, if you do that compared to doing that thing I did with that guy today, what I'm trying to show you in these videos where you hit shots and I'm gonna say it again, you stay focused on thickness, then you work on speed, you add spin last, and you consider biomechanics as you're training, okay? And then you try to set up some runouts so that you can consider strategy or patterns, right? And then you do some research and some study, and you sort of watch some things like 8-ball, like who plays good patterns in 8-ball or 9-ball or whatever. Or I have 8-ball pattern videos. You could study those. Coming soon. It's a long story, but I do have specific runout videos. And that's what I'm saying is like we become students of the game and we study. Students study. So we study and we work and we learn. And as a byproduct of that, the results happen. That's it. It's almost like there's layers to this game and layers of understanding, and you're not going to get the layers that you need with an L drill. You're not going to get the layers of understanding you need with a Mighty X drill. And you're not going to get the layers of understanding that you need by focusing on having a straight stroke. There's not enough depth there. There's not enough detail. Like I know I've heard this from people before. There's a guy that played and he would hit that Mighty X type of shot. And he's like, if I could just make this ball go straight into that pocket and hit it at a high percentage, I would play like professional pool. And it's like, I'm sorry, but that was a statement that was made, and it's a ridiculous statement. It's just nowhere near the truth. There are so many layers and components to playing great pool, and a straight stroke is like, basically, if playing really good pool is like summiting Everest, a straight stroke is like having the money to make it to base camp, okay? And furthermore, just because you have the money to get to base camp, a straight stroke, it doesn't mean that there aren't guys that have summited Everest many times without a straight stroke. It's totally, you just turn on Pro Pool and watch it. I was at Derby. Guy was like pumping like this with this big arm out there, 750, like shooting my nuts off. I mean, it's just the way it goes, right? So if there are people that have already summited and they're summiting back and forth and all around it, and then you're sitting there thinking, I have to have a straight stroke. That's how I get to the top of Everest, and think that that's the top of Everest. And that's just the money used to get to base camp, which is like, I don't know, 20,000 or 30,000 feet under Everest. I don't remember how high Everest is, but anyways, hopefully you get the analogy. It's probably terrible. Anyways, a straight stroke is necessary, but it's one of the components. It's the biomechanics. And then, oh, by the way, you can sit there and say straight stroke, it's everything. It's the base of pool. I would say it's one element of biomechanics. There's also the pace at which it goes. There's also the length of the lever. There's also the angle. The angle of the cue is so important in pool, and hitting the pool ball, it's just critically important. And these are all of the biomechanical elements of pool. And it's not just a straight stroke. You could have a super straight stroke, and if you're hitting the ball like this, and this is your top spin, that's a stun shot, right? It's not and you could be as straight as you want, and you'd be stunning the ball everywhere, and it'd be completely ineffective on how to play pool. Okay, so that's it. I'm interested in a straight stroke. I'm interested in mechanics. I'm interested in all that stuff, but it's as one of the components of the game. It's not the entire game. Okay. All right. I'm not upset. Do I seem upset? Do you guys think I'm not? Hey, I don't have a problem. Do you have a problem? That's what Vince says in The Color Money. Okay, so I'm good. I'm passionate about this stuff. That's it, bros. I'm passionate about it. So, okay, let's just recap. I'll let you guys out of here. Programs and drills. Just ask yourself why. Okay, ask yourself why. What's your why behind programs and drills? And consider learning the game. Consider learning the game, thinking about learning what this thing is doing in relation to that object ball on these rails, with this happening, all those things, okay? And try to think about being in a 80% learning state and a 20% completion state. Just try it for me, please. And not one day, not 1 hour, try it for a little while. Try it for a little while, okay? Just secretly, no. Just be our secret. You just try 80% learning, 20% completion. Okay? And then understand that pool is not infinite, right? Biomechanics, what's happening, it's not everything, but it's important. You got to work on it, pay attention to it, but you got to play through it, even if it's not perfect, you got to, whatever. Physics, okay? Energy transfer, okay? Little spin, okay? Geometry, angles. What is going on with the angles? Rolling angle, stun angle, drawing the ball, everything, okay? Then we have strategy, patterns, lines to take into zones. I got videos on that. And then we have the mental game. I've got podcasts on that stuff. And so we're talking about. And then that's basically it. And then I would say when it comes to training, programs and drills, let's think about learning, and let's think more about learning than completion, and let's think about teaching ourselves in learning, okay? That's it. That's what I would suggest. That's what I would suggest, okay? At least for now, right? At least for now. If somebody is incapable of teaching themselves, then own that and say, you know what? I'm incapable of teaching myself. I'm incapable of teaching myself these shots like you teach yourself. I don't get it. I don't know how. I can't figure it out. Just tell me what to shoot. Then hit me up and it's $100 an hour and we'll go on a Zoom and I'll get you a program, okay? But I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have you not pay me that money. I'd rather have you slow things down, start over, be calm, all the stuff that Ami does, and start learning and start really, really learning one shot at a time and teach yourself the process of learning. And if you can slow down and teach yourself the process of learning, and you can watch the detail that I use in my training, okay, and you can learn to have that much detail in your training, you will teach yourself this stuff and it will work for you, okay? I'm not out here to sell training programs to people. I'm not out here to really sell anything. I'm here to train myself. You guys are helping me stay training. I'm hitting balls. This is great. Thank you. Thank you. And eventually, as a byproduct of everything that I give to you guys, somehow, some way in the future, this will monetize. Either I'll have subscriptions on my page or donations or whatever. Like eventually, I'm going to fill you guys up so high and with your tank of knowledge and everything in my care for you guys that you're going to want to make sure that I stick around. And so we're not there yet. I'm just building, and I'm learning while I'm doing this. I'm learning shots myself, and I'm not concerned about the result, the money result. I'm concerned about the learning process for me, and it's easy for me to come out here. I can just flip on the camera, start learning, start talking, having fun, sharing with you guys, and as a byproduct that someday, I'm sure it'll be fine, right? But for now, I'm all good, you guys are all good, and I'm just trying to reach you, trying to help you. So hopefully this helped. Sorry if I offended anybody, but if I offended you, you're probably an engineer and you hate me anyways. So just kidding, engineers, they hate me. I'm way too loosey-goosey. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.